Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this Thursday's Quickstart webinar. My name is Noah Harris. You are in the right place. For those of you who are on the call for the first time, welcome. We do this Quickstart webinar every single Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We look at this as practice. We look at this as a way to stay sharp. It's yes, you can network. Yes, we're going to learn. But every single Quickstart webinar that we do, Private Money Club has asked me to teach fundamentals, right? Some things that we practice repetition wise, things that we talk about every single week, and then to share some new ideas and revisit golden nuggets and revisit lessons and things of that nature to help you become better borrowers and help you become better lenders. So we're gonna check all those boxes here today. So welcome to the Quick Start webinar. I'm gonna pull this slide up real quick here because I do this every time. If you've ever been on a call with me, you guys know this. I'm really big on disclaimers and making sure that this doesn't sound too easy, okay? Real estate is hard, real estate is difficult, but like all great things in life, most of them are, right? So I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. A person can make a lot of money fixing and flipping houses, buying rental properties, and playing real life Monopoly, right? But a person can also lose a lot of money if they don't know what they're doing. And that's one of the reasons why we have this call. We're here to educate ourselves. And the same thing goes for lenders. Lenders, I mean, gosh, isn't it great, the idea of being able to make a double-digit rate of return, have it secured by real estate, right? And doing it over and over and over and over and over again. We can't make that in the bank, right? But at the same time, we got to make sure we know who we're lending to. We got to understand the types of projects that we're lending on, right? What questions do we ask to the borrower? What questions do we ask about the project, right? What should we know? What documents do we need? And one of the reasons I started teaching this through Private Money Club, teaching this webinar, Stephen came to me and said, hey, Noah, would you like to teach? I said, absolutely. I'm a big believer in creating win-win scenarios using private money for borrowers and for lenders. But I have had friends that have lost money private money lending because they didn't have certain documents. They didn't know what questions to ask. And that really hurt, knowing that people that I knew were affected, right? And we're struggling getting their money back from the people they were lending to. And so I made it my mission. I'm going to educate people as much as I possibly can. I'm going to hop on these webinars and we're going to do our absolute best to make sure that we're private money lending and borrowing the right way, right? If I could teach you just one question to ask or one document to ask for that you didn't know about before on this call, that's a win, right? That's a win, which is super cool. All right, so a couple things I'm going to cover here as well. I got my team in the chat, and we'll go through some, what to expect on the call and how to make the most of it and things like that, right? But welcome to the Quick Start webinar. You guys are in the right place at the right time. I'll make sure Jose and the team get the links working for you guys and what those links are and the importance of making sure you schedule time with the team, with the Private Money Club, okay? So every single time we kick things off, I like to start with a quote, a life lesson, something fun. And are you guys watching this stuff? Did you see the women's rugby team? Give me a big oh yeah if you saw that run back. Oh, this is an amazing story. Like, so I gotta rewind the tape a little bit here. All right, you're like, no, what does rugby have to do with private money lending? Everything, right? So here's a lesson in life and lesson in business. I imagine if you're on this call, you have goals, right? If you've got goals, say I do, right? Say I got goals. Type goals in the chat box. Let me know. I imagine there's going to be over 100 people texting goals, right? And goals are important, but at the end, sometimes we got to peel back the layers a little bit and understand really why that goal is so important to the individual. And when I saw this quote, when I saw this highlight, when I saw this young lady, I don't think that's Ilona. I think the young lady with the ball, I think her name's Alex, right? I just started becoming a rugby fan, by the way, so I'm learning the names, okay? So this young lady is no time on the clock. They're all the way on the other end of the field. They're down by a score, and she gets the ball, and she runs over. Someone goes to tackle her. She was not going to be denied. Busted through, ran her heart out all the way down the field, dove into what we would call the end zone, right? It's just absolutely incredible. And you could see in the look in her eyes, nothing was going to stop her. Nothing was going to stop her. And it got me thinking about goals, right? And how can you take that type of drive that young lady Alex had and put it into your business, put it into your borrowing goals, put it into your lending goals. Like, how can we do that? Like, the goal for the team, right, was to win a medal, right? It was to be on the podium. But what we didn't know, right, I had no clue about, was that the goal was actually deeper than that. And one of the players came out and she says, hey, look, our coach said to us, if we didn't win the medal, we might not have a program next year. And that really stuck with me, those words. And so we delivered. And if you think about it, that young lady is saying, hey, look, we have a community, we have a team, we have people that we care about. I've dedicated 15, 20 years of my life to training and playing and lifting weights and running and doing all of this. And if we don't make this happen, it's all gone. This is it, right? And then she was thinking it's not just about her, like this Olympics, but she was thinking about future generations of girls and women that, you know, are starting to get into the sport. They might not be able to go to the Olympics next time they do it, right? It's crazy. They had a strong why. And so how does this play into real estate? What am I getting at here? Real estate's no different. That ball, that goal line, whatever that is for you, don't forget that, right? And I don't mean to make this into like a Tony Robbins webinar or whatever. I'm not trying to be too motivational here, but this works, right? This works. Being on this call, the seeds that we plant today, we reap the rewards in the future, right? So my wife and I, how we look at our real estate investing business, and she does a phenomenal job at this. She's amazing, you guys. So she's always the forward thinker and things like this, right? So in our minds, if we have a goal, a financial goal, we work our way backwards and we say, what do we need to do today in order to make that goal happen? Like the rugby players, they're working out, they're practicing. 4 years ago, this moment was in their mind, right? But it started 4 years ago. So I'll give you small examples and then maybe you can share what yours is, or just write it down, have it ready, right? So for us, like, it might sound silly, but we want a pool in our yard. We just bought a new house last year, huge yard. We want to drop a pool. Well, instead of just taking the money that we have and buying a pool, our goal is we're going to flip one extra house, right? One or maybe two extra houses. We'll get a little waterfall going in the pool. I don't know. But we're going to flip these houses today so that this time next summer we can have a pool. And that's a goal, right? And I'll keep the pool analogies going. Maybe that's a little shallow goal. But the true reason why we want to put a pool in is because we have a son who's 8 years old. His birthday was on Sunday, and he's autistic. And the number one thing that young boy loves more than anything in the world is to go swimming. He's an amazing swimmer. I think he's talented in swimming, and I can't wait to just see the smile on his face, waking up every day and being able to just jump in his very own pool, right? It's another layer. So yeah, our goal is a pool, but at the end of the day, so what does this have to do with private lending? The conversations that you have right now, the things that you're learning right now are going to pay off in the future. I don't know when, right? But we start working on this stuff today. So, sometimes it's summertime, it's the middle of the year. Usually everybody sets goals like January 1st or whatever. I'm encouraging you to do it August 1st, right? If you maybe you need to reevaluate your goal. Like, how do you want your January looking? What do you instead of waiting until January, what do you want to happen in January, right? It starts with the conversations and the things that we're learning on this call right here, which is pretty cool. All right. So went a little Tony Robbins on you guys, but I mean, this stuff works, man. And when, honestly, when I see the picture of that young lady with the ball, I picture my wife there, and like the ball is like maybe one of our kids or her goals, and there's nothing stopping a determined mother. All right. How many determined moms do we got on this call? You guys, the dads are like, yeah, you go for it. We can do it. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But a determined mom, roll call. Are you here? Let's hear it. I mean, are you doing this for your family? What are you doing it for? Have this stuff figured out, you guys, because I'm telling you what, and I say what you want about the Olympics. It's inspiring to see to see these athletes have their dreams come true and the work that they're putting in, and everybody has a story. And so do you guys, or if you're on this call, you got a story too, which is awesome. Cool, let's get into it. If you're just tuning in for the first time, what's up? My name is Noah, Coach Noah. You can call me Coach. Real estate, I'm a real estate investor first and foremost. This is what my wife and I do for a living. We've been investing for quite some time. We live in Columbia, South Carolina. Any case studies that I'm sharing with you guys, I try to do my best to share like real life examples so that you can apply. It's never going to go the same as it has for me. Things are going to be different, right, for you in your area, in your city, but I try to keep it as real as possible. 100% track record. This is our goal for every single person that's on this call. If you become a lender, if you become a borrower, track record is so important. And that's how you keep your money working for you, right? Minimizing the losses. My goal is, I've been teaching this. I teach two ways for Private Money Club. The first, every Thursday at 1 o'clock, we spend an hour on this webinar practicing real estate investing fundamentals and best practices along the lines of private money lending. I also teach a class called the Accelerator Program for Private Money Club. So if you like this call, you like what you're learning, you can see yourself really, getting into this from a borrower or a lender's perspective, I'd encourage you to enroll in the Accelerator course. I'll put different on my team. I got Jose in the chat box. You can put the links in there. You can enroll, take the class, and I help you become a private money lending and borrowing, I don't want to say the word expert because we're always learning, but gosh, I'm going to put a lot of time, effort, and energy into making you the best borrower, the best lender that I possibly can. If you're interested in taking a class like that where we accelerate your growth, my man Jose with PMC just put the link in the chat box there. You can go to privatemoneyclub.com, or you can actually click the link there or call them to schedule a one-on-one appointment to enroll in that course or anything else that private money lending has going on, which is super cool. Track record, that's what it's all about. The more education a person has, the better off they're going to be. I can say that over and over and over again. The people that I've seen struggle with borrowing money, raising capital for their business and for their deals, or the people struggling when it comes to lending, simply didn't know enough, right? They didn't have someone looking over their shoulder. They didn't have a coach, and that's what I do with the Private Money Club. This is relationship based. All right, so we place a high value on our lenders. We place a high value on our borrowers. And if you want to get great at becoming a great borrower or borrowing money, become a great borrower, right? And on this call, we talk about what that looks like. Great question in the chat. Dennis says, hey, do you cover private money for commercial real estate? I'm not teaching syndication or anything like that on this call. Most of the types of opportunities that I focus on would be single families, fix and flips, rental properties, maybe Airbnb types of situations, and small multifamily. Right? Small multifamily, right? So you're in the right place. If you're here and you're wondering, hey, I want to learn how to buy a house, fix it up, sell it using other people's money, you're in the right place. If you're on this call and you're like, hey, I just got my IBC policy funded, I've got some money, I hate to just have it sit in the savings account earning 2, 3, 4%. I want to be doing better than that. What can I do? How can I put my money to work and have it secured by real estate that's worth much more? You're in the right place for that as well. All right, cool. All right, moving on. All right, let's do a roll call. Roll call. What's your goal? I had someone earlier that was like, hey, where are the borrowers at? Like, you make it seem so simple when, to borrow money. Like, who are these people? Like, do they live under the waterfall and back in the dark Scooby-Doo cave and they only come out once every third full moon? No, private money lenders are everywhere. So I'm going to do a roll call real quick. If you are a borrower, let the group know, right? Let the group know. If maybe you're a real estate investor, you want to borrow funds, have it secured by real estate, right? You like the idea, do it, put borrower. If you are a lender and you love the idea of putting your money to work at double-digit rates of return and having that money secured by real estate, put lender in the chat box. Let's do a roll call here. We've got 113 people on the call, which is pretty cool. So let's see what we got. I imagine it'll kind of be like 50-50. What's up, Jamie Wolf? 2 active deals. All right, cool. Good to see you. Borrower, boom. Lots of opportunity to put it to work. I love it. I love it. I love it. Borrower, 90 day, 11%. Okay, Joel's dropping some numbers. Good to see. Okay, cool. This is awesome. So here's what's cool. For everyone that always asks me, hey, where are the borrowers at? Or where are the lenders? Who are these people? They're in the Private Money Club. They're in the private money club. Now, why do we get on these calls? Why do we have accelerator courses and things like this? Is because it's not that simple, right? If it was that simple, like Eric's a lender, Jamie's a borrower, and they would just connect and do a deal, right? Some people are like, what do I say? What documents do I need? Like, how do I know if it's a good deal? What questions should I be asking, right? So it's not as simple as just saying, hey, you're a borrower, you're a lender. Why don't you just get off the wall and dance together, right? It doesn't always work like that, right? So, we're gonna get into what to say, how to say it, and really how to avoid some of the hurdles and pitfalls of private money lending. Okay. All right. Yeah. No, all right. Next up, next roll call. Here we go. We got a lot of borrowers. We got a lot of lenders. I told you this was going to be an interactive webinar. If you are a premier member in Private Money Club, type premier member. All right, Fern, loud and proud, premier member, exclamation point, love it. If you're a member, but you're like, hey, I'm a free member, I just kind of joined, I'm checking it out, I'm poking around a little bit, I got linked up with Nick and Jose, and I'm probably gonna join Premier here next time I talk with them. Cool, like let us know. It's all good, right? In it to win it. She's saying, I love it. If you're brand new and you're like, man, I don't even know, like, what are the benefits of Private Money Club, right? If you're brand new, type it in the chat box. All right, cool. If you're brand new, by the way, I'm gonna encourage Jose to put up that link real quick so people can see it. Yeah, thank you, Jose. If you're brand new, find in the chat box Jose Hakeem, click the link, and schedule a call with these guys. I'm a big believer that at least everyone should have a free membership just to kind of see what it's all about. And then when you get serious about doing business, lending and borrowing, then just go Premier, right? Jose can help you do that. I love it. Abby says, hey, I'm going to Premier membership soon. That's good. That's good, you guys. Cool. All right, love it, love it. Lots of action here in the club. Checking it out. Is it worth it? 100%. Here's kind of how I look at it, Brian. I think it's like, I don't know, is it $1,500, Jose? Is that what it is? I think they help you with it, with the, they got promo codes and different things like that. You got to talk to the team. Here's how I look at it. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? So if I invest $1,500, I've got right now 2 or 3 great relationships that I've formed on Private Money Club to help fund my deals, right? And I don't know if I could even put a value on those relationships because I don't know how much money I'm going to make over time based on how many deals I'm going to do with these folks. And on the flip side of the coin, for my lenders, I don't know if they could put a value on it because of all the money that I'm making them over time, right? So it's all about finding those relationships. And I can tell you, who asked that question? Brian. I can tell you, Brian, that I would not have met those people if it hadn't been for Private Money Club. Like, there's no way. There's no way we would have crossed paths. So absolutely. We just funded a deal. It was a $650,000 loan amount. And if I had gone, and we did private funding, so I paid 10%. It was 2 different lenders, 10% to one, 11% to the other. Those people are making double-digit rates of return that they otherwise probably would not have made had they not been our lenders, right? Sure, they could go out, figure it out, whatever, someone else, of course, right? But they're making great returns. At the same time, if I had gone hard money on that, I would have paid, gosh, I don't know, probably right off the top of my head, there's a local hard money lender here in our area. They charge 3 points up front to fund the deal. So 3% of 600,000, let's just say that's 18 grand. So that would have been $18,000 in fees I would have paid to a hard money lender. I didn't pay any points to my private money lenders. So right out of the gate, you do the math, right? So is it worth it? Yeah, find the right relationships. But here's the thing. With Private Money Club, this is all, you got to get out there. You got to be active. You got to go to the events, right? You got to be messaging people on Private Money Club. You got to be attending the webinars, attending the coaching sessions that they do, right? So that you can actually meet people and start building those relationships, all right? And then I think I have 100% confidence telling you it'd be worth it if you did those things. All right, cool. Here's the plan. Every single Thursday, 1 o'clock, this is what we do. We start on time. We keep it real estate. Participation's encouraged. If you have questions, ask them in the Q&A box. Okay, so if you have a question, ask it in the Q&A. Sometimes I see questions in the chat. Most of the time I don't because it's moving too quick. Okay, so if you have a question, ask it in the Q&A. and I'll take breaks and answer the questions. That way, I got my team in the chat. So if I mention a link, if I mention a class, if I mention something that's going on, Jose can post it in the chat, and that way it's easy. Jose Hakeem is I believe the only member, PMC team member in the chat. Okay, so he's part of our team. Thank you, Jose, for being here to help me out with that, because I can't do too many things at once. All experience levels are welcome, right? So if you're brand new to real estate or brand new to lending, you're in the right place. You're in the right room. If you're looking to scale up, grow your business, you've done 1,000 deals, boom. We got a lot of investors just like that in Private Money Club as well. So welcome to the Quick Start webinar. Let's go. Here we go. This is what we're going to work on every single week. Let me make sure I didn't skip a slide. Okay, good. We're going to work on building credibility. Today, we're going to be working on building our credibility. I'm going to share with you one of the slides that I teach in our accelerator program. It's actually the very first lesson that I teach. We have a new accelerator class coming up, and so I just feel like anyone that I interact with should know this information. So I'm glad that we've got 120 people on the webinar right now that can learn this information too. Credibility, we're going to work on that. Clarity, right? The more education a person has, the more clarity they have around whether they're doing something the right way, right? And they can make better decisions when it comes to lending and borrowing. And if we have the first two, the confidence is going to come. Okay, so everyone knows private money lending is the best thing since sliced bread. Where else can someone put money to work, have it secured by real estate that's worth more? Where else can someone borrow all the money that they need to fund a real estate deal without having to go to a traditional bank, right? It's awesome, right? But if we've never done this before, how would we know, right? So let me just be honest. Can I ask you guys to just be real sincere with me for a minute? How many of you are lenders? That's what you want to do, but you haven't done it yet. You want to put your money to work, but you haven't pulled the trigger yet. So this is really common because a lot of people in Private Money Club may have set up a infinite banking policy with Chris Naugle and the money multiplier team, right? And now you want to be your own bank. Is that it? And so you've been putting money in, you got money aside in many cases, right? You guys, am I speaking your language here? But you're like, gosh, I got turned on to this lending idea where I could put my money to work at like 10, 12, maybe 15%, and you haven't done it. We just need to figure out some of these things here, right? That's all. A confused mind says no, right? So if we're educated and we're not confused, we can start saying yes to some of these opportunities, right? And that's what we work on every week. And you got a great community here to do it, right? And then I'm gonna ask this the other way, because for my borrowers, is there anyone in here that's a real estate investor, but you've only been using hard money lending or maybe your own cash to fund your deals and you haven't done private money yet? Is there anyone here like that? Is there anyone who's a real estate investor who's like, I haven't pulled the trigger yet using private money? All right, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I tell you what, if I was a lender right now and I'm in Private Money Club and I see people like Virginia, Dina, Jamie, Annette, Ron, I see all these people. I have Brian. I've only been using hard money. I would be messaging them. I say, hey, tell me about your business. Tell me about your business model. Tell me about how things go in your town. What city, what state are you in? What do you focus on? What's your niche? And if you have an impressive conversation with that real estate investor and they haven't been using private money lending yet, they've only been using hard money lending, that might be a person to connect with. Because they have a track record, they've been borrowing funds before, they can give you addresses of the houses that they've flipped, you can look it up, you can see how it went, right? Those might be some of your best friends right there, if you know what I'm saying, right? Okay, so Virginia said, hey, I just posted a deal, right? I've been using my own cash, my home equity line of credit, my self-directed retirement account, right? That's our friend in Hawaii. Great. They got a track record. That might be a good conversation to have. I'm never going to vouch for someone on this call because I don't really know. I know a few of you personally, but for the most part, names are familiar. But I would encourage folks to reach out on Private Money Club, have a conversation, get the ball rolling there, right? So this is what we do every single week. We practice, we work out our private money lending muscles, and I encourage you to make moves. So I'm going to jump in to our lessons here in a minute. But before I do that, I always like to say what's happening, and I always like to encourage everyone to make a move. And I understand this call is an hour. Some of you are on your lunch break. You might not have a full 60 minutes. So I like to share what's going on and give you homework and things to do so that you can keep building momentum. Like, this is not a webinar where you just tune in, you learn a little bit, and you're like, oh, that was great. I'm gonna go back to eating my roast beef sandwich and forget everything that Noah said. No, this is a webinar where hopefully you're incorporating things, you're learning, you're building upon this. This is the 25th time in a row that we've done this webinar. So hopefully you guys are learning things. So I'm gonna encourage you to make a move. Now here's, I just saw this. Jose, good timing. Jose said, we are offering a free ticket to the virtual Money Take event coming up in Charlotte with the enrollment to the accelerator course. Okay. So you can attend virtually or attend. Jose, you might have to clarify some things up here because it says free ticket to the virtual Money Take event coming up in Charlotte. It's virtual in Charlotte. You can watch the Charlotte event. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So what's Jose talking about? So if you're on the call here, here's what I tell people. You're looking at the make a move slide. I want you to pick at least 1, 2, maybe 3. Don't go overboard, right? Things that you haven't done yet. So at a minimum, here's your homework. We're gonna get into some fundamentals. I'm gonna give you some assignments here today, right? We're gonna work on this. We got 30 minutes left. I'm gonna give you some really good foundational things to work on. Practice them, okay? Maybe that's what you work on. If you haven't scheduled a time with the private money team, schedule a blueprint appointment, right? Jose's been dropping the link. At a minimum, attend next Thursday's call. So I'd go, hey, Siri. Siri would say, yeah, what's up? Hey, remind me to join Noah's call next Thursday. Done, right? Put it on the calendar, right? If you don't have a PMC profile, Private Money Club profile yet, set one up. There's a free option. There's the premier option, right? Poke around with the free, leapfrog to the premier when you're ready. Just get in there, right? If you're serious about doing this, it's free to do. I don't know. Everyone on this call, all 122 people, should have a profile on Private Money Club, right? If you don't, you're missing out. Our next accelerator course is August 12th. Now, just a heads up with the accelerator, I do an orientation with all new students, and I believe that's happening the Wednesday prior to, which I think is the 6th or the 7th. I'd have to double check. I think maybe it's the 7th, right? So mobile home take action challenge. My wife teaches people how to buy, invest, and lend on manufactured and mobile home deals. That's coming up. And then Jose was talking about a virtual money school, essential 3-day event, end of August that's coming up. And last but not least, we have an event going on called the Money Tank, and it's in Charlotte at the Motor Speedway. So I'm really excited. We're racing cars and lending money and borrowing money, making money with our money. And educating ourselves. That's going to be an awesome event. They already sold over, I think I was talking to Steven, right around 50 tickets to the Money Take event in Charlotte, and they haven't even announced it yet, which is pretty cool. So thank you, Fern. Orientation call is on the 7th. Fern's in the class. I have a feeling that Fern's gonna be like my go-to person if I'm like, Fern, what was that date? What was that time? Cool. Love it. Any questions so far? Let me check. There's one. Let me just make sure I got it. Noah, will you be on the 2-day workshop next weekend? I will be on the 2-day workshop next weekend. Deborah, yes, you bet. I will be there. If there's anything you want me to talk about on that call, let me know, because I have no idea. I'm not sure what I'm going to be teaching. I always like to kind of get a feel for things and then dive into it. Okay, here we go.
Your real estate business lives and dies by the network and the connections that you make. I mean, after all, your network, well, it's your net worth. That's what you've always heard, right? If that's an area where you desire improvement, well, Private Money Club, it's for you. PMC saves you precious time and money by bringing the real estate world, well, right to you, right in the palm of your hand. So get in on the action, like so many others have, by going to privatemoneyclub.com and sign up.
This is something new that we've been practicing. The last 3 calls, we've been practicing this, and part of our fundamentals is we practice our elevator pitches every single call. So we'll practice that towards the end of the call. What to say, how to say it. And by the way, if you're a borrower or a lender, it's important that you have an elevator pitch. Okay. If you're a lender on this call and you want to put your money to work with someone that has experience, and then you just saw someone in the chat say, hey, I've always been using hard money. I've always been using my own cash, my own self-directed retirement account or however people are funding deals and doing things, but I've never used private money before. Start those conversations. Start those conversations, right? What's your elevator pitch look like? If you're a lender, it's important that you have an elevator pitch just as much as if you're a borrower, right? Because here's what happens in Private Money Club. From my experience, okay? Anytime I have a deal, I post a deal in Private Money Club under deals, I post it in the forum, and I get lots of people that are like, hey, I'm interested in learning more about this deal. I'm interested in funding your deal. And from my experience, it's always been multiple people. I think one time I had over 7 different people that were interested in funding a deal. And so I said, okay, let me look at their profiles. Let me start having conversations with them, because it is a relationship. Like, who do I want to work with, right? Isn't that nice having a choice of picking who you want to work with? And so I was listening to the lenders' elevator pitches, right? And talking about themselves, their rates, things like this. And that kind of narrowed it down, right? So we're going to talk about this, and I'll give you some ideas and different things to work on, but it's good. If someone asked you what it would be like working with you as a lender, what would you say? How would you say it? Would you have anything that you could give them to show them, like, that you have credibility and you have a plan and you have a formula and different things that you look for, right? And these are things that we're going to work on Accelerator. But one of the things we've been adding every week is just helping people understand what private money lending is, because how many of you on the call have someone that would be a great private money lender, but they don't know it yet? This is always a fun question to ask. How many of you on the call have someone that would be a great private money lender, a family member, a friend, former work colleague? Maybe it's one of your neighbors. Maybe it's somebody in a real estate investment club that you've been going to. Type me in the chat box if you've got someone that would make a great private money lender, but they don't know it yet. Maybe they don't know it yet because they don't even know private money lending exists. Maybe they don't know it yet because they don't know that you're in real estate, right? Is it just Fern? That's it? You guys need to get out there, go meet some people, right? Start attending some networking events. Tonight, my wife's going to the networking event at 5 o'clock with one of her girlfriends, and they're going to go network, right? She's going to come back, I promise you, and she's going to find a new private money lender. I promise you, because she's going to have her elevator pitch going, right? So what do we like to teach here? A couple of family members. All right, there we go. Me. All right, awesome. I love it. Make sure in the chat box, it says everyone, unless you just want me to see the message, okay? A lot of you are sending stuff that just says, directly to me. Okay, so here we go. Chances are, like Fern, if you're going to give you some extra love because you're taking the accelerator class here coming up. If I'm talking to Fern, and Fern's like, hey, my sister would be fantastic at this, right? The problem, why you haven't used her yet, maybe you're just getting your business started, maybe, I'm just guessing. Fern, are you brand new to real estate, or is this something that you have a good background in? Brand new. Okay, perfect. So Fern says, I'm brand new to real estate. So in her mind, she's like, gosh, my sister would be a great private money lender. One of the big objections, Fern, that you're going to have is just teaching her. It's explaining to her what private money lending is, because private money lending is not something that's talked about in grade school, high school, college. It's not an option when you walk into Wells Fargo and make a deposit with your money. They're going to show you the CDs, the high yield savings accounts, the money mutual. You get the idea. They're not going to say, oh, hey, you should take your money out of our bank and then go and lend it on a private real estate deal, like a private mortgage. That'd be a great idea. They're not going to say that. So lots of times, the general public, people we're close to that would make great lenders, they don't understand what this concept is because they've never heard of it. So when you start talking French, you might say, hey, look, you're going to give her the elevator pitch very successfully, and she's going to be intrigued. But then she might say, well, why don't you just go to Wells Fargo, right? And this is an objection. You're going to get this a lot. Or that person might say, if they're a little more savvy, they might say, well, why don't you just use a hard money lender? Right? If they know a little bit more about real estate, they know that these types of lenders exist. So what do you say to that, right? So it's good to have an understanding of all of the differences so that you can tell people, Fern, you got to be able to tell someone why you're willing to pay them 10% interest, why you're willing to pay them 12% interest, because they're going to think you're nuts. We've been taught and trained to think that 10% interest, that 12% interest is too high. We've been taught that 15% is, breaking your kneecaps, but by a loan shark or something. Like that's the common thought process. So we got to explain to people in a way that makes sense to them why they would make a great private money lender and what's in it for everybody, right? So if we go to a traditional bank, number one, Fern, if you're going to get into fixing and flipping, traditional banks typically aren't going to lend on those types of properties. If the property has a boarded up windows, if it smells like mold, if it has a foundation issue, right? Those are all red flags, and they're going to say thanks, but no thanks, right? And even if you had a real nice house, a beautiful property, and it was all fixed up, it was real nice and make a great little rental property you're going to add to your portfolio, the bank, they might give you the loan, but they're also going to want a big down payment, or they also are going to take a long time and do a very thorough background check. And here's nothing wrong with background checks. Nothing's wrong with thorough question asking, by the way. For all my lenders on this call and all my borrowers, we want to be good at asking questions. We want to be able to take a look at financial statements. There's nothing wrong with that, right? The problem with the traditional banks is the time that it takes for them to put everything through the approval process, because someone's approving it, and then they got someone approving it, and then they got someone approving it, and then you got to wait it's a bunch of timeline red tape, right? So as real estate investors, we have to be able to make quick decisions. We have to be able to close quickly on the properties, because sometimes that's important to the seller. So if you're a real estate investor and you're making offers and someone else, I just made an offer last night, 3 weeks to close. We didn't get it. We didn't get the house. Maybe we should have said 2 weeks. Maybe time was something that was really important to that seller, right? So as real estate investors, we got to keep in mind that, cash is king, right? So we might not have our own cash, but the timeline needs to be as if it were cash, right? And traditional banks just can't do that. And on the flip side of that, hard money lenders, I love hard money. There's nothing wrong with using hard money. From my experience, I use hard money lenders until I know enough private money lenders. Hard money lenders are going to be a little bit more expensive. I may have to bring more to the table, right, to make the deal happen. There's a little bit more rules, restrictions, and things like that. Nothing wrong with that. And if I'm lending money, I'd probably take note at how hard money lenders operate and run their businesses and model my lending business after them, right? But at the same time, I'm going to use hard money lenders until I know enough private money lenders, right? And then I'm going to jump ship, right? It's a little more flexible. I can negotiate the rates and things like this, right? So when you're talking to your sister, Fern, it's like, hey, I'd much rather build a relationship with someone, gosh, especially a family member, where Fern, you got to give the takeaway a little bit. You'd be like, hey, look, I'm in the private money club. There are plenty of people. I was on this webinar the other day with my coach, Noah. There was 118 people on the call, and it seemed like 50% of them were lenders. So I could easily find one person out of those 50, I'm sure, right? But I wanted to go to family first, because if I can pay 10, 12% to a family member and still create that win-win situation, why wouldn't I do that? Isn't that what you would do? And she's going to be like, yeah, that's a smart idea. You said 12%, right? So these are things we're going to work on. But let's get good at practicing this, understanding the differences, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when this conversation is going to come up, right? Does that make sense? Is that good? Is that good, Fern, and everybody else? Are we liking this stuff? All right, cool. All right, so here's what we're going to practice today. And I've probably taught this 2 or 3 times on this call. This is how important this is. This is the very first thing that we teach in the accelerator course. Okay, so the first week I teach 7 steps to effectively creating credibility for my borrowers, right? So today I'm wearing my borrower hat. Okay, I'm wearing my borrower hat. Lenders, you can look at this the same way. And if I was a lender, I would be asking for the information that right now I'm teaching the borrowers to put together. Okay, so this is good. So I'm kind of pulling back the curtain, and lenders, you're looking at what I'm teaching the borrowers. And if the borrowers aren't doing this, that's a problem. That's a red flag. Okay, so if you're lending, just know, hey, I gotta ask these questions, right? This is what a good borrower should be taking the time to do. Okay, so I see accountants on there twice. It's so important. All right. I thought I fixed that, but sorry about that. So here's just some of the people that we want on our team. So here's what the thing with credibility. Okay. Let me just back out of this here. Here's the thing with credibility. This is really important. I want everybody to listen. It's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when a lender's going to ask you about your experience, right? If I'm a lender, I want to know right away, hey, tell me what I'm working with here. Is this your first deal? Is this your 100th deal? Tell me about your business, right? So as borrowers, we need to prepare for that question in that moment. And I'm telling you right now, it could be your first deal. It could be your 100th deal. I don't think it really makes a difference. So if I'm lending money, I'm asking the same question. So I am not impressed by anyone that says, oh, I've done 100 deals. Oh, okay, great. Give me 100 addresses. I'm going to go look, right? Or give me the last 10. That should be easy. I'm going to go look. I'm going to inspect what I expect, right? And I'm still going to ask about the person's team. So regardless of experience level, so for my investors that are really experienced, hey, I've done 20 deals. Okay, great. Tell me about your team, right? I want to be asking these questions. For borrowers, it's the same thing. Get your house in order before you start asking people for conversations around money. All right, get your house in order. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. So if I was talking to Fern, I'm going to use you as an example again. If I was talking to Fern, I was like, hey, Fern, tell me a little bit, how many deals have you done? If I taught Fern a perfect elevator pitch, if I taught her, and I'm going to teach her everything that she does or should do in a one-on-one meeting with someone, and she crushes it, right? And she's like, this was awesome. And the person's like, I am so excited. Fern, do I make the checkout to you? Like, who do I make this checkout to? You seem to got it dialed in, right? Oh, but one last question. How many deals have you done? How Fern answers that question is going to dictate how that conversation goes, right? So they have to make sure that they answer it honestly, with integrity, but then in a way that also gives that person confidence that they're going to be able to get the project done and get them their money back, right? So what do they say? What does Fern say, right? So it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. So if you're on this call and you're brand new to real estate, what would you say if a lender was like, how many deals have you done, right? Hopefully you're honest, right? Just getting started, but you also don't want to sound like you don't have your act in order. You don't want to sound like you don't know what the heck you're doing, right? So this is my advice to everybody that's on this call, okay? I gotta pull this up. Before we go out and start asking for funds, we gotta get everything set up, okay? So there's a team. So even though you don't have credibility, like experience, all right? If you're brand new and you don't have experience, that's okay. But the people on your team should, all right? So here's what I'm gonna do. And this is advice that a coach told me a long time ago, right? So when I first moved to Columbia, South Carolina, you guys, I stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm from Ithaca, New York. I was raised in South Florida for the most part. Went to college in Orlando. I didn't know anything about South Carolina. So as I started having conversations with people, and this isn't just lenders, by the way, this is sellers, real estate agents, people that I wanted to work. I felt like I didn't have a lot of credibility because I was kind of like a fish out of water here in South Carolina, right? So my coach says, hey, no, before you do anything, you got to get your team set up, right? And so, and I'm going to give you I'm going to teach you what he taught me, okay? So like, number one, real estate attorney, all right? So if you don't have these people on your team, like at a minimum, go get them. And I'll share with you kind of how I did it and what I would look for when I got this whole thing started and give you some ideas, okay? So real estate attorney, title company, if you use title companies in your state, a real estate agent, licensed contractors, home inspectors, insurance agents, accountant, financial advisor, property manager, bookkeeper, right? Coach, what type of education do you have around the topic, right? What's your experience? So as I started building my team, imagine, so like I'm 42 years old right now, but imagine like when I was 25 years old, just kind of getting the ball going, late 20s, right? Not a whole lot of experience, just kind of like, oh, I look like I'm 18, like who's going to give me $500,000, right? That's the thought process in my head, okay? And so I went out and I found a real estate attorney. Now, here's the thing with the real estate attorney, and a lot of these people that are on this list, real estate attorney, I went out and I found the real estate attorney that everyone knew. So within my community, this person had a very good reputation. They threw big events, you know, they won the newspaper awards, like the best of your city, right? And here's the idea. If you're a borrower and a lender Googles your real estate attorney, what's going to come up? Okay, is something going to come up? Is their website going to come up? Is it going to show best of the best on their website? Is it going to show 5-star reviews? Right? This is the thought process. So the very first real estate attorney that I worked with, he actually wrote the contract that the realtors used in the state of South Carolina, right? And I picked him specifically, and this is important, because I wanted to brag. I wanted the ability to be able to brag about my real estate attorney to my lender. You follow me? All right, let's keep going. Title company, same thing. So we used if I'm buying property in Virginia, which we do occasionally, right? Like I want to make sure that the title company has great reviews and recommendations and people know them, right? I want to make sure that the real estate agent that's on my team is a top 1%er in the neighborhood where I'm going to be flipping my houses. I don't want to hire just my friend who just got their license, or the family member, or me for that matter, if I had a real estate agent license. I want to go out and I want to get the best of the best for that specific neighborhood, and that's what I did. Right? And it wasn't rocket science. Every week I drive by this real estate office, and on the sign it said who the agent of the week was, and it seemed like every single week it was the same person. So I was like, that's my girl. I'm gonna go to her. Right? You gotta start somewhere, right? Your contractors. If you looked up a contractor on Google, do they have 5 stars? Do people know them within the community? Do they do good jobs, right? Like the last thing you want is to hire contractors and the contractor shows up at the job site late and in a raggedy van, and like the dashboard of the van is like all hamburger wrappers and like receipts and garbage, right? That's not the look that we want, right? So all of these little things we're taking into consideration. Your home inspector. I went out and I found the home inspector that was notorious for finding everything in our community, right? How do you find out who's a good home inspector? Who does everybody hate, right? Who do the real estate agents, when that home inspector pulls in the driveway, are they like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to deal with this person. Like they're going to find all this stuff, right? They're a deal killer. That's who I want on my team. That's because I want to be able to brag that I've got the one that finds everything, right? Accountants, insurance agents, are they specific to real estate investors, right? Do they work with real estate investors? Financial advisors. This is a really, really important one. Let me give you an example of why financial advisors are so important, right? Hey, how many of you on this call have a retirement account? Maybe it's self-directed, maybe it's not. How many of you on this call have a retirement account? Just say yes. That's all you guys say, right? Yes. Just say yes. I'm curious. I'd be willing to bet, there's over 100 people on the call right now. I'd be willing to bet that if everybody actually participated in this exercise, we would get over 50%. Easy, right? And you guys are proving my point. Thank you for the participation. You're typing it in the chat box, right? I can see all the names starting to come through. Listen, here's what's going to happen. People are going to want to lend you money if you do a good job explaining this. Most of the time, it seems from my experience, a lot of people have those funds in a retirement account. Think of all the people that had 401ks with their employers, and now they are retired, or now they jump ship to a different company, or this. You're going to encounter this quite a bit, where people are like, "Hey, yeah, I've actually got 3 401ks from different employers. What do I do? How do I get this working with you? Can I use this money?" Those aren't questions that you're qualified to answer, right? Unless you are a financial advisor. But wouldn't it be great where you could refer that person to someone who is, and then that person help them get set up with a self-directed retirement account that could then lend you money? Wouldn't that be an awesome situation to have? You're going to encounter this quite a bit. So why is a financial advisor on the team? Well, my financial advisor specializes in self-directed retirement accounts. That's what they're great at, right? Horizon Trust or whatever company you guys want to work with, right? You following me here? I think the recycle sign is good, right? Is the recycle sign a good thing? Is that what the kids are doing these days, Paul? Yeah, we're just I guess it's a win-win. Is the recycled sign the new win-win symbol? I don't know. I love it. I love it. Thanks for the love. All right. And the list goes on and on. Property manager, if you're doing rental properties, bookkeeper shows that you treat this like a business, not a hobby. And coach and education shows that you take this seriously. You're willing to invest in yourself, right? I can tell you right now from my experience, the people that I've met who have invested in themselves in some sort of accelerator class, being premier members, going to boot camps, in my mind, subconsciously or not, they're a couple ratchets above the rest. I'm just being honest, because in my mind they take it seriously. They understand that the value in the education, right? It's, to them, it's a business expense. And I like to work with people that, we're speaking the same language here, right? Chris Naugle's in a lot of masterminds. Him and Steven, they're in all these masterminds, not just accelerator course or money tank, but he goes to you invest 20, 30, 40, $50,000 to be in some of these mentorships. What's cool is when Chris is like, oh, I met this person at the boardroom, in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's qualified. Like, he's getting the highest level education. He's doing all of these things. Like, it's nothing for them to invest that type of money. It's in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay. It kind of like helps them jump levels a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a coach, you have education, you're a part of some sort of mentorship or group, I would absolutely be proud of that and share that with people. Okay. So here we go. If you're brand new to this business and you've taken the time to figure out all of these things, now when someone says, hey, this is cool. Hey, how many deals have you done? Tell me about that. You can tell them, hey, look, like I told you when we first sat down, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, I may be brand new to real estate, right? For the last 10, 15 years, I've been a nurse in the emergency room, working different types of systems, procedures, managing team members and things like this. What I've decided, I'm no longer going to be exclusively saving other people's lives, but I'm also going to be helping save my financial life by getting involved in real estate. What did I just do there? I said, hey, look, I got zero experience, but this is what I used to do. And I'm taking those same skill sets and putting it right over here and dropping it into my real estate bucket, right? How awesome is that? Now what we can do, you can get into the team. So, but before I went out and I started learning and educating myself around private money and having conversations like this with people like you, I've gone out and I've found the best real estate attorney. They've been in business 10 years. I've got the best title company to do all the title work, make sure there's no liens on the property, make sure everything's good. They've got a great reputation. Year after year, they're number one in the state paper. I've got the best real estate agent. She's a top 1%er in the neighborhood where this house sits. I've got my licensed contractors, and I've checked out all of their subs. You can look them up online. They're 5-star reviews, second generation, plumbers, electricians. It's an amazing team. My home inspector, he's a former veteran. He's been in business 10 years. Everyone in our neighborhood, in our area, hates him because he always finds everything that's wrong with the properties, which is what we like. Our insurance agent, our accountants, they both specialize in real estate investing and have a good understanding around real estate investing. And I know you talked about wanting to put your 401ks to work. Well, we work with a company called Horizon Trust. They've got a great reputation. I can give you the number of someone that can advise you on how to go about doing that. Blah, 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 blah. You following me? We got our bookkeepers in place, and I've got a kick butt coach that's walking me through this, overlooking my shoulder to make sure I'm minimizing my mistakes. So while I might be brand new to all of this, my team has over 100 years of real estate investing experience, right? Now, here's what's cool. Oh, okay, real quick. Jose says, hey, no, I have to jump at the top of the hour. He's got a PMC demo. Okay, cool. So, hey, Jose's leaving to do a demo. If you would like Jose to do a demo for you about joining the club or hopping on, taking a class, joining an accelerator, doing all these cool things, getting a ticket, a free virtual ticket to an event, now's the time. Schedule it, click the link, save the phone number, take a picture of it if you have to so you can call him after the call. But he's jumping on a call right now, but get on Jose's calendar, all right? All right, cool. So here we go. So after all of that, guys, you're telling them, hey, look, I'm brand new, but I've insulated myself with greatness, right? And that may or may not seal the deal, but what's gonna happen is they're gonna say, you know what, I totally respect that. Let's keep going, right? Tell me about the deal that you're looking at, right? That's how you do it, guys, right? That's how you do it. And if you're on this call, one of the things I teach the lenders in the accelerator course, it's like, and I'll tell you guys, flip the script. Ask the tough questions. Hey, tell me like, who's the real estate attorney that you work with, right? Look them up. Tell me about your contractors. Look them up. And this is why this is so important. Make sure they're doing these things, right? Who's your insurance agent? Well, if one of the things that you're going to request as a lender is to be listed on the insurance, don't you want to know who the insurance agent is? So you can call them up and say, hey, look, here's my information. I just want to make sure everything's getting taken care of on my end as the bank. Yeah, so we should be asking folks all of these questions to make sure that, they've got their team in place. One of the biggest things that I see when it comes to real estate deals faltering and taking too long, especially if it's fix and flips, is that the investors are so excited to be getting the money and to be buying the property that they haven't taken the proper time and steps to set up the team that's actually going to be flipping the houses. So good contractors, they're not going to be ready to start tomorrow. Okay? Especially if they don't know you. Like if you're just calling them up, hey, I bought a house yesterday and I was wondering if you could come give me a quote and maybe start the day after that, and hopefully the quote is low enough for me to be able to work with you. Like that's not how it works. And good contractors, they're going to be busy weeks in advance, sometimes months in advance, right? So it's important that you're taking the steps now as a real estate investor to get all this stuff set up, so that when a deal does get funded, boom, you can move on it, and your lender's going to feel really confident and good about the progress, and they're going to feel good about the decisions that they made lending to you. All right, which is awesome. Okay, cool, good stuff. Are we learning today? I'm gonna go through this real quick because we're a little bit over our time, but here's some of the things that we practice every single week. What is a private money loan? It's a loan secured by real estate, just like a bank would want. Right? Just like a bank would want. Show me the money. So this is kind of like our elevator pitch, right? Hey, have you heard about private money lending? It's a loan secured by, show me the money. If you're borrowing, figuring out how much you're going to pay. If you're lending, figuring out how much you're going to charge. Know this in advance so that you can start having conversations with people and getting them intrigued to work with you. Here's an example of what I like to say. We pay anywhere from 8 to 12% annualized interest. Each loan opportunity is unique. It's pretty cool. Here's what we provide just as a start, okay? Like there's more to it than this, but for a conversation, if I'm talking to someone in an elevator, literally, I don't have a lot of time, right, to kind of go through everything. But this is how I show them that it's different than just doing a handshake loan or verbal agreement, right? No, that's not what we do. We provide documents drafted by lawyers and professionals, a promissory note. We provide a mortgage or a deed of trust. We provide personal guarantees. We provide insurance, just like the same way that a bank would want. And when you start saying these things, people start to, the light bulbs go off, their eyes get big. They're like, oh, okay, so you're paying me 12% and I get all the documents, the same documents that a bank would want, that are prepared by real estate attorneys and recorded. That's exactly what I'm saying. Right? All the documents are prepared and recorded by a licensed professional, right? So we're practicing this stuff. I can't skip this. We got to practice this every week, right? These are the things that we practice. These are our fundamentals. So where else can a real estate investor borrow all the money that they need to fix and flip a real estate deal without having to go to a bank? I don't know. Where else can a person put money to work at an interest rate that's super high and have that money secured by an asset that's worth much more? I don't know, right? This is my little process here. Okay, guys, this is what I do. If I have a deal and I want to share it with the group, I post the deal, I post in the forum, I send people to my website to learn more information. They hop on my calendar, we set up a call. Right? We set up a call. It maybe takes 15 minutes, maybe it takes 45 minutes. Right? Just depends on the questions and how educated the lender is around the topic, but this is how I build relationships. So, I'm not actively looking for new lenders, but occasionally I'll have people go through my website and we'll schedule a new call and so on and so forth. But about a year ago, when I was like, hey, you know what? I want to see how effective I can be. And I was kind of posting daily for about a week or two. I had almost 30 phone calls, real good. I mean, I'm not just talking, hey, how you doing? I'm talking good conversations with great people, right? Which is awesome. Again, going back to Brian's question, hey, is it worth it? I would not have the relationships that I have today if it weren't for the private money club. And I just don't know if I can put a price tag on that. Here's the moves. If you still need them, there's 87 people still on the call, which is awesome since being that we're 4 minutes over. But here's what I would do. I would pick one or two at a minimum. Hey, at a minimum, I'll see you next week, right? I'll see you on the next Thursday call. At a minimum, let's practice the fundamentals, right? The documents, mortgage, prom note, insurance, right? List you on personal guarantee. Let's practice saying these things, okay? At a minimum, let's create a PMC profile if you don't have one already. And if you want to go next level and just kind of accelerate your learning, I tell you what, I'd love to take as many people as possible and turn them into private money lending and borrowing machines. August 12th, we officially start the accelerator course, and the Wednesday prior, we have like an orientation where I actually hop on a Zoom call with everyone in the class. We kind of go over their goals, do introductions, and it's a fun 60 minutes that we do together. Christy's got the mobile home challenge coming up August 18th. There's so much money to be made in manufactured housing right now. And I'm telling you what, if those of you are looking to lend on smaller amounts, and maybe you don't have 100, 200,000 in your banking policy yet, but you're like, gosh, I got 20. That would be a great class to learn about an asset class where a person could put that money to work on a private money loan and be in first position alone, not with 50 other people, all right? Which is pretty cool. We got the virtual money school. Hey, if you want to get great at borrowing and lending money, best advice I can give you is to learn as much about money as possible. And Chris and his team do a great job of bringing in all different types of instructors and classes at the virtual event they got coming up. And in the Money Tank event in Charlotte at the Motor Speedway, if you're not first, you're last. That's going to be an awesome time, November 8th and 9th. I cannot wait. So pick one or two, guys. Do something, make a move. I hope this was an awesome call. We're only 6 minutes over, but I think it was worth it. I hope you have an amazing week, and make sure that you celebrate all those little wins along the way, including being on this call. All right, so 2 claps everybody for being on the call. I will catch you next Thursday, and I'll see you Wednesday for everybody that's already signed up for Accelerator course. You guys are awesome. Take care, Keith. Take care, Christine. Thanks, Joel. Thanks for you guys' participation. Y'all rock, and have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.